From LALATE News Headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LA with incredible great news for April 26, 2022 about your fourth stimulus check update of today. In today's recording, we go over the breaking news happening across the board as Joe Biden gets new comments from Joe Manchin. Are they good? Are they bad? Or are they a little bit confusing as they impact Build Back Better Act? I'll analyze them for you today. The president putting Build Back Better Act front and center for his domestic agenda. That means that the likelihood of it getting passed very quickly is upon us. Then we'll be going to those big checks. Not just one, but several fourth stimulus checks have landed by direct deposit of state fourth stimulus checks and multiple presidential executive fourth stimulus checks. Then we have breaking news as Wall Street's down over 500 points right now. Tech slumping dramatically, oil surging across the board. Bear market worries, recessionary concerns, what's at issue, all the latest details as a turbulent market today signals big worries. Then we'll be looking at what's going on with the Federal Reserve as new numbers for the housing market came in, supply chain disruption, travel and leisure, and also what's happening with auto. Then we'll be going back to those states and why we have a lot more states giving state stimulus checks. I'll explain to you why the number will grow even more thereafter. Out of nowhere, the President of the United States doing 6 executive orders to student loan debt forgiveness. Could complete student loan debt forgiveness be next on the horizon? Then you saw last Sunday as the President of France, Macron, re-elected. Does that mean then we have a 6th stimulus package heating up right across the board? All the latest details on that. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, it's a major day with Wall Street taking a major tumble. Dow Jones down 500 points right now. It was only 400 points down just 30 minutes ago. The oil price is surging again, up 3% right today. Bear market worries, recessionary concerns, but I got big checks for you. A lot of checks. Lots of fourth stimulus checks landing by direct deposit. That's why you want to become a member. And in today's recording, we go over those big checks. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, the toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, and the coffee's brewing. It's Mornings LA, and the deliciousness starts right now. And good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful day, and it's cooled down here in Southern California. April 26, 2022. Major developing details across the board today, and we'll go over all that incredible details, starting with Build Back Better Act and going to those big checks. Not just one, but many different fourth stimulus checks have landed by direct deposit. If you haven't got to them, I'll show you how to get all of them. But first, become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. The membership link is at the top of the chat. And in this video, we go over brand new checks that happened in just the last few hours. It's an incredible day, and we'll start first with the breaking developing details of the Build Back Better Act. Joe Manchin minutes ago talked about a new piece of bipartisan legislation he's introducing today. Of course, he's the Democrat with Lisa Murkowski, the Republican. And the bipartisan piece of legislation they're introducing today is about climate. Why am I covering this? Because some people are going to cover it and confuse you. And also I want to go over my analysis situation. Build Back Better Act has a climate provision in there, which has been sort of controversial to Joe Manchin. So what is he doing as head of the Energy Committee doing today? He's introducing his own climate bipartisan legislation with Lisa Murkowski. I'm preempting what I expect for you to hear is from broadcast media say it's bad for Build Back Better Act because he's doing something else. First of all, his legislation is never going to pass. That's a given. Number two, it doesn't really hurt Build Back Better Act. It actually helps it. I'll tell you why. If there's anything that helps Build Back Better Act, it's talking about this. And by him introducing a separate piece of legislation, which is never going to pass, purely for the purposes of discussing what needs to get modified It's good news across the board. There you go. Now, let's go back to the President of the United States. The President of the United States is taking out the initiative of getting big money out the door. And what the President of the United States is doing is that he's putting the agenda back front and center. He knows that millions of Americans wants the domestic agenda front and center. And why does he need to get it done, Build Back Better Act now? Because of the midterm elections. Let's go over the calendar with you and me right now. The midterm elections are November, but you don't vote on election night usually anymore. You vote by mail, 30 days, 60 days out. That means you start voting by September. That means you need to check generally by August. You need to check by August, then you start negotiating the provisions by May, because it takes May and June to make it to law, and the president set it out. That is why Build Back Better is front and center once again. The economic data across the board today is different than it was in 2020. In 2020, the Republicans said the economy is great. Democrats said it was bad. Right now, everyone's saying the economy is missing. You can't miss that the economy is missing. Why? Let's look at the market right now across the board. If we look at the Dow Jones right at the time of this broadcast, let's look at the numbers right now. The Dow is down 412 points. It was down nearly 600 points just a second ago when I first pressed record. And minutes ago, we just learned, oh, this is breaking news right now. I have this live on air at the time of this recording, which is 9:29 a.m. Vice President Harris has now tested positive for COVID. Vice President Harris has now tested for COVID positive, and she's not exhibiting symptoms. That is a breaking news report you're hearing for the first time live on air at the time of this recording. The Dow is down 412 points right now. It was down nearly 600 points earlier, just a few minutes ago. It started the day down a little bit less, but the S&P is the one that really, the NASDAQ is really the one taking the major hit right now. The NASDAQ is down 322 points, which is nearly 3% right at the moment of this recording. And oil continues to surge up a little bit again. It took a big plummet yesterday. Oil's up 3% right now. The Brent crude is at 105. So here's where you got to know is that economic data is just missing. Economic data is missing. Now, one of the guys who has to solve this is Joe Biden. The other one who has to solve this is Jay Powell. Jay Powell is head of the Federal Reserve, and his job is to reduce inflation. That is his task. His job is to reduce inflation. And we have new data that came in about that inflation today. And what did it tell us? It told us that inflation is being felt differently in different places. A new travel and leisure report out today says that are Americans taking vacations this year? It depends on which household you're referring to. And it's all because of the cost of inflation. The cost of inflation is hitting certain parts of the economy, certain families more than others. And you know what the answer is. For families whose household income is $100,000 or more, 75% of respondents say they will take one vacation this year. For families whose household income is $50,000 or less, then only 56% of them say they will take a vacation this year. Why? Because they say the prices of the destinations have gone up too much. Another inflationary number that's brand new today is that the big U.S. auto manufacturers, GM and Ford included, now could have major fall of earnings when they report corporate earnings for 2022 because of supply chain disruption. This is because of component parts can't get to those auto manufacturers, and this is as the elements at issue, like demand for the cars, has fallen off. Now, a White House insider just days ago, I think it was last Friday, said that he believes that the inflationary that the GDP number in the United States will fall. Fall where? Let me go over the analysis. And what is GDP? GDP is how big this economy is growing. If the economy is growing, the number is positive. If the number is negative, that means we're in recession. So where are we right today? Right today, Wall Street anticipated a 7.1% growth for the GDP, gross national product. It's not. It's 6.9%. But what did that White House insider say? 3.7% inflation right by the end of the year. This is lower than expectations, folks, by Wall Street. Wall Street's saying we're going to shrink to 4%. I say we're shrinking to 0 or negative a percentage point. Why? Because recession is a negative price point. Deutsche Bank, the German bank, says the U.S. economy will be in 2 years of recession starting next year. That means negative GDP. Goldman Sachs yesterday said there's a 35% chance that we're going to recession. A major report today says that we're in a bear market right now. If you look at technology stocks right today, right at the time of this recording, live on air, and you look at the charts, they are at their levels trading right now that they were in July of 2021. Yeah, they've lost all their gains of the year, and now they're back to the levels of July 2021. Think back what you were doing in July 2021. You were starting to get used to coming out of the lockdown and all that. Yeah, we're going right back to where we started. Now, this is good news for Build Back Better Act. Why? It's good news for Build Back Better Act because the concept is that Americans need relief. As we go into the midterm elections, Republicans and Democrats agree they need to give people relief. Do I believe that there's a likelihood that Build Back Better Act will pass with Republican votes? For the first time ever on this recording, I'm going to say yes. I would not be surprised if Build Back Better Act goes from a recon to just a bipartisan piece of legislation. Why? Because I think that Republicans understand they got to give Americans relief. The way they win the midterm elections is they blame Joe Biden on the economy, and they say, we gave you relief. The way Republicans lose the midterm election is they say, Joe Biden hurt the economy, and we're going to fix it. And they don't do anything. And guess what? The Democrats passed the Build Back Better Act without the Republicans say, hey, we helped you, and Republicans didn't. So I think that the likelihood of bipartisan passage of Build Back Better Act is looking better by the moment. Let's go back over to that SS300. That is Jay Powell. That is Joe Biden. When Joe Biden ran for president of the United States and then his presidential platform, he said he's going to swap that COLA for inflation. What is COLA? What is inflation? What does this mean for you? Your benefits are assessed based upon a benchmark every December. It's called COLA. COLA doesn't move. It's not a good benchmark. And last year, it finally moved a little bit, 5%. What happened? Well, because it was 5%, your benefits went up 5%. But you got cheated because your benefits should have gone up at 8%. That's where inflation was in December 2020. Once your benefits go up, they never go down. If Joe Biden made that swap from COLA to inflation in December, you would have gotten 8%. So if Joe makes that swap from COLA to inflation today or tells the Social Security administrators to make the swap, what would you get? A little bit more than 8%. A little bit more than $200 more per month. Yes, it's good news. Why? Let's go with the data. Last year, Jay Powell and the Federal Reserve got this so wrong. I said all last year, inflation is going to be 8% in December. They said 1% to 2% temporary. I said, no, it's not going to be temporary, Jay Powell. It's going to be sustained. And guess what? He got it really wrong. 8% in December, 8% in January, February, 8%. What happened in March? March, it went up. Price of energy went up 11% from February to March. Whole fruits, fresh fruits, grains went up 3%, and general consumer goods went up 2%. February to March, 1 month. When looking at the entire U.S. economy, went up 0.3% in 1 month. So Jay Powell's trying to get down that inflation. He's trying to get down on inflation. What is he going to do? He's going to raise interest rates a half basis point at the May FOMC meeting coming up in a few days. I'm predicting that he's going to do another half basis point thereafter. I got to tell you, folks, in the last 24 hours, I've had a lot of analysts saying doing 3/4 of a basis point. 3/4? Are you crazy? I got to tell you why. It ain't going to work. None of these things are going to work. We still have inflation and we're going to have higher interest rates. But what's good for you is that helps. If Joe makes a swap, you lock in that $200 more per month because we're at least 8% inflation right today. And where does that inflation go by the end of the year? I say it's going to be 4%. That's another $100 on top of that. That's SS 300 because once your benefits go up, they never go down. It's huge details across the board, and it's great news, and Joe needs to do that swap. Now, let's make something clear. Joe has done this before. He did it with SNAP. He did it in October of 2020. When he looked at that SNAP and said, you know what, you're not getting paid enough money for food, he contacted the Department of Agriculture, say, start paying people more money. All he has to do is make a phone call. Joe, make the call. ET phone home. Make that call and swap that COLA for inflation. And millions of Americans, SSI, SSDI, veterans, your benefits would go up overnight. It's so simple. Later in this recording, we're going to go over something else about making the phone call. It's great news. Now, the other great news came out of nowhere, and that was 4 stimulus checks from your state. Wow. Whoa. Yes, 4 stimulus checks have now landed by direct deposit from your states, and more states will be doing it. Let's go over the incredible details of this, and let's go over why it's happening. It dates back to 2020. In 2020, Steve Mnuchin, then Treasury Secretary, said use or lose. First stimulus had been sent out to the states. States had a lot of money. And Steve Mnuchin said, you better use the money, or you got to return it back to me. Use or lose, meaning use the money or return it back to the federal government. Guess what? All the states use the money. No state's going to return free money back to the federal government. So when Janet Yellen passed third stimulus of Joe Biden, that was the American Rescue Plan, early 2021, they inserted the same provision again, use or lose. So where are we right today? Let me go over the analysis. The use or lose deadline is December 2022. But let's recap. Every state under third stimulus got the same amount of money based upon the number of citizens in the state. I don't care if it's a Republican state. I don't care if it's a Democrat. Rich or poor, every state got the same amount of money. Let's say that again. Every state got the same amount of money from the federal government under third stimulus. Rich or poor, red or blue. It's dependent upon the population of the state. Now, they understand the deadline looming. Let's go over that deadline. Use or lose. Will they use the money? Absolutely. There's no state that's not going to return them. There's no state that's going to return the money to the federal government. They're all going to use the money. So when are they going to decide whether to use it and how to use it? Right now. It was last Thursday I told you that 2 states had said they're doing a $2,000 or an $800 stimulus checks. And I said, get ready, in the next few weeks, you'll see more. I was wrong. It was 24 hours later, 48 hours later. 20 states in 2 days came forward. I thought it would take a few weeks to hear from them. We heard from them in 2 days. 20 states have now announced they're doing a version of the same. It's coming up in a second. Let's understand, every state has money. Kentucky, for example, Republican, poor perceived state, spending the money as well. And what you need to know is that it's all detailed for you. It's all detailed for you now in the membership newsletter. It comes out Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. How do you become a member? Go to the top of the chat, pin comment, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. In that membership newsletter, we now have this check, and you know what that check is called? It's Shawl Check D on this channel. Check D is now your 4th stimulus check landing by direct deposit from the federal government. In the case of Pennsylvania, which led by example, Pennsylvania said, you know what? We can't sit around and do nothing. We're going to do it. So what did Pennsylvania say? They say we're going to send out a check because our citizens of our state need those checks. Let's read the comments at the time. These comments were from Thursday, and it started the ball rolling. The domino effect kicked in thereafter. The governor of Pennsylvania, Tom Wolf, said the following. He said, I'm asking for the General Assembly, the legislature of my state, to unite across the aisle political spectrum for the sake of every person in my state of Pennsylvania, and to get the money out. Let's get the money out of the state coffers, the state bank accounts, and into the pockets of Pennsylvanians. Pennsylvania should not have to choose between paying for utilities and groceries or gas. We have the opportunity and the means to ensure that they're not struggling, to ensure their success stories. Recap, remember, every state needs to use or lose. They will use. And the determination of when they use it, let's go over the details right now. In the case of the states, it's a little bit easier. The governor is usually the same political party as his legislature. So if the governor says, I want to do something, it's happening. It's happening. And what's important for you to know is that they have a routing time as well. Use it means you got to have the money in your hand as a citizen of the state by about November. The guy sent out the check by about, October, September. That means the governor needs to sign it into law by August. The vote in one part of the state legislature, July, the other side of the state legislature, June, and they propose it right now, May. There you go, same timeline. It's actually even earlier if you think the governor is going to do it for the midterm elections to help his party. Yeah, it's even earlier. Now, we're going to go over which states have checks, how they have checks, how you get these forced stimulus checks, and more right after the commercial break. But first, let's go over the other forced stimulus checks that are landing. When you think of the federal government, don't think about just Congress. Don't think about forced stimulus only coming from Congress, because you got another branch of the government that could send you a check. And you know who it is. The executive branch, the president, executive action. And now new fourth stimulus checks are landing by direct deposit. They are huge. They are absolutely incredible. We're going to go over all of those details after the commercial break. Plus, let me add one tidbit right here. Yesterday, some people were asking me, what about the eligibility for the state stimulus check? It's so easy. The eligibility for when we talk about forced stimulus, whether it's the federal government or the state government or eventually the Congress, it's always the same income qualification. Single individual, $75,000 or less annual income. Married couple, $150,000 or less annual income. You do not ask questions like, what about SSI or SSDI? There's no separate category for you. You make less than $75,000, you qualify. It's as simple as that. The only thing that makes it a little bit more interesting is that sometimes if there's a household, like a married couple, sometimes they double the check. If there's children, sometimes they pay a check to them. That's coming up after the commercial break. Then we'll be going back to sixth stimulus and what's going on with now that we had Macron reelected in France. It's huge. And get ready, student loan debt forgiveness. Let's go over the details of that right now. Out of nowhere, the President of the United States has now done 6 executive orders for student loan debt forgiveness in just a blink of an eye. And we went to the weekend when the teal monster said, you know what? Complete student loan debt forgiveness is still on the table. Still on the table. The teal table? The teal table that matches the teal drapes, still on the table? This is huge. And whose debts could be forgiven next? It's coming up after the commercial break. Stay with me at the very end. We got a lot going on in today's video. But first, here's a little bit about the community page, the member community page. During the commercial break, again, remember to become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power Calcino VIP. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as Mornings LA continues live on air.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
And the excitement continues live on air from April 26, 2022. From Santa Monica, California, as Mornings LA heats up. Did you become a member during the commercial break? You need to. Go to the top of the chat, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. So get ready to get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday. In the second half of this video, we're going to go over the latest details on new student loan debt forgiven. Whoa, it's huge. Then we'll be turning it over to what's going on with that sixth stimulus. And then you'll have my analysis of why I'm a little worried about a series of economic elements heating up internationally. That's coming up later in this video, the recessionary worries across the board. But first, let's get some money. It's mornings, and it's money mornings, and it starts right now. The states have now stamped up to give you forced stimulus checks under a concept of use or lose. The states have been told that under the third stimulus package, they were given lots of money, lots of it. and their obligation is to use it or lose it. What do you need to know? First, the states will all use the money. No state is going to return the money. Number two, every state has money. Number three, the only thing that remains an issue is how much a state has left over and what the state is going to use the money for. I had told you last Thursday we were at 2 states, Pennsylvania and Maine, announcing $2,000 and $850 or $550 approximate stimulus checks. What happened in 48 hours? We grew to 20 states. What's the status right now? The status right now is the following. There's about 20 states. I believe it's going to grow to a lot more states, over 40, in which they are going to announce a stimulus check or a stimulus package. Of the 20 states, what does it look like in the moment? First, some states have made it law. Other states have proposed it. What's important for you to understand is that if it's proposed, it's going to happen. Again, as I said earlier in the video, the governors are generally the same political party as the state legislator. It's not like Congress where things go slow. They want to do it, they get it done. It just takes a certain number of days and the ramps out the door. Number two, something I'm saying for the first time new on mornings is that I would not be surprised if states don't do multiple items. Number three, we have half of the states with the bill pass and half the states with the bills propose. And the bills are all quite different. In some states, it's a pure stimulus check. And in those states, it's often for single individuals and then married couple doubled. And then some cases includes a dependent or more, like a child. It's huge. It's really huge. Then in other states, it's a deduction, meaning you go to file your 2021 tax return, and let's say you pay $600 in taxes. Normally, that would be your tax liability. But there's a refund of $800. That would mean you get a $200 refund check in the mail. Let's say you have $1,000 in taxes, then you don't have to pay anything in taxes. It would be an offset. So sometimes they're doing it off of the tax return. Other times they're doing it as you spend money, you get the money back. And then other versions are a tax holiday for when you go to the gas pump. You don't have to pay taxes on gasoline for several months. They're all doing something different. So how do you find out what your state is doing? We have so many states doing things so differently at different time elements. Where do you find all the details? Every state is featured in the membership newsletter. Yes, starting last Thursday, I started including Shack-a-D in the membership newsletter. You go right into that membership newsletter Monday through Friday. Going into the top, we have the latest prices today of oil, wheat, and corn. And then we go into check A, B, C, and here comes D right after that. It'll go through each of the states that have announced so far. It'll tell you whether it's law or not law. It'll tell you which state, and then it'll tell you what the program is and how you get paid or how it works. It'll also give you updates as it changes. So if the state has a propose and then it becomes law, I'll have the update for you as well. And as more states become announced, they will go into the newsletter as well. That is your Check D, all in the membership newsletter. Go to the top of the chat, become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Now, we're not done there yet, folks, because that's one of the 4 stimulus checks coming from your state. Get ready for the presidential 4 stimulus checks. Yes, the president has now sent out 4 stimulus checks. They're landing by direct deposit, and they're absolutely incredible. Remember, there's 2 ways you can get checks from the federal government. 1, by the executive branch, the president, or 2, by the Congress. These are law. Joe Biden has taken provisions out of the Build Back Better Act and made them law by sending out the checks. And they are incredible. And how do you get them? What are they? How much are they? You know, that first stimulus check was $1,200. The second stimulus check was, $600? $600. And the third one was $1,400. Guess how big these are? Tens of thousands of dollars, up to $80,000 for stimulus checks. This is astronomical. You should be dancing in the seats or dancing in the streets or whatever the song was called. That check A is the first one at Bay, and boy, is it huge. It's $6,500 to $12,000. The 4 stimulus check A, is a 4 stimulus check sent out by Joe Biden. The income qualification, just like what we talked about earlier in the video. Single individual, $75,000 or less. Married couple, $150,000 or less. Yes, if you're on benefits like SSI and SSDI, you qualify because you make that income qualification. And if you own a home, get ready because it's called the Homeowners Weatherizing Grant Check. It's huge, upwards of $12,000. How do you get it? You go into that membership newsletter. In that membership newsletter, right after the price of oil, wheat, and grain today, then it has the Check A. You look for that Check A right at the top of the newsletter, and that gives you more descriptions about it. Then it gives you the link to apply. Click the link and you go into the national website. Then you choose your respective state, like Mississippi. Choose the Mississippi Homeowners Weatherizing Grant Check, Weatherizing Grant Program, apply, and there you go. How simple could that be? That's the value of being a member. Then we're not done there yet because there's a second presidential stimulus check, and let's look at that one. Oh my goodness, huge amount of money. $15,000 to $80,000. The average view of this channel is getting $66,000 to $80,000. Astronomical. This, folks, is not a measly $600 or $2,000 stimulus check. This is astronomical. Again, this is a first stimulus check. Again, it's the same income qualification. Again, it's done by Joe Biden. Again, it's landing by direct deposit. This one's called the Homeowners Grant Check. And how do you get this one? Same way as Check A. This is Check B. You go into that membership newsletter. Go down to Check A. After Check A is Check B. You'll see the link. You click the link for Check B. That'll send you into the nationwide website. Then you see a map like this. You choose your state. Let's say Tennessee. Click the state of Tennessee. Sends you into the Tennessee website to apply. And here you go. You get funded. Now, Check B has been live for a couple of weeks. Initially, the routing times were about 1 week after approval. They're slowing down because millions of people watch this channel and millions of people applied. So give it a little bit of time. Get that Check B. We're not done there yet because there's also another stimulus check, and this one is Check C. What makes Check C a little bit different than D coming from the states, A and B from the president, is that Check C is from Congress. Congress? How did this happen? Check C is a third stimulus MSC check. How did this happen? Let me explain what details. In December 2020, we were in the thick of the pandemic and millions of Americans needed money. There was not a lot of money. So I looked high and low to find your money, and I found it. Rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance. In what was not a lot of money at the time, $250,000. Tyrone and his family for out of Boston got $15,000 at a time from this channel. Now, what happened at that time was I got lucky. I had a piece of paper, a couple pieces of paper, a exclusive for a new proposed legislation, which I coined the expression. I said, if this becomes law, I'm going to call it third stimulus. I coined the expression. It did become law. Just like I coined the expression for fourth and fifth. It became law. It became the American Rescue Plan. And I said, this becomes law. It has the same thing in there. I just got you the money for rent and utilities, but you're going to know how to do this before everyone else. Well, guess what happened? It became law. And I said, I can get you about 15,000. I didn't. I got viewers on average 45,000. That's the value of being a member. People who looked at the third stimulus, they only got $1,400 stimulus checks. Not this channel. People got on average $45,000. They listened and learned, and that is the benefit of watching this channel daily. Let's look at the success stories. If you have a success story, post in the live chat right now. When you do, you inspire other people, whether success is today, last week, or last month. Look at these numbers for rent. Huge, huge numbers. 27,000. Look at these numbers for utilities. They went up to 15,000. Look at these numbers for SNAP. Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000 for utilities, got $25,000 a year for SNAP. Over the next 10 years, that's $250,000. Let's look at these combos. Huge numbers. Then Mark went from 30,000 to 50,000, then to 100, then to 166,000. Lorraine, she was at 105, now she's at 120. So what happened? Well, I was telling people, get these monies and get around. And they got around 3 to 4 months, then that spring, then last summer, then last Christmas. We call it Christmas stimulus. But what happened this spring, 2022? I said, get another round. What did viewers do? They said, no. I said, excuse me? They said, no, I'm going to do a whole year. A whole year. Can you do that? I didn't know you can do that. Well, they did it, and they got it. They got an average $2,000 a month over 12 months. They continue to do it. Continue to do it across the board. taking the information of this channel and running with it. And this is check C. This is check C. And this is also detailed in the newsletter. Right under check A, right under check B is also check C. You are going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, your county house authority, your state hall and state house authority. But if you're a member, you're also going to reach out to the nonprofits featured in the newsletter. Why? Members have more places to reach out to, more places to get money, more money available. The membership newsletter features those nonprofits, about a half dozen of them. And that's why Johnny got $80,000 in 5 days. Reached out to his 2 family members, got $50,000 for each of them, and then helped people in his neighborhood get them over $350,000. I think it was about 20 people. Astronomical. These check C's you deserve. They're MSG checks. Go get them. Where do you reach out to? Those city, county, state housing authority across the board, and those nonprofits. There you go. Lots of checks. A check A, presidential forced stimulus check. Check B, same thing. Check C, a third stimulus check. And then check D, a state forced stimulus check. All in the membership newsletter. As Carol said 3 days ago, she said, "LALATE, you make it so simple. Why would someone not be a member?" It's put together, wrapped up in a bow, and put in a box. Explained line item by line item with links and direct details to go in and get these sums of money. No guessing, no game playing, no need to take notes. It's all featured in the membership newsletter. And that is why viewers are coming to this channel. This is why this is a community, Purple Hawk, Purple Powers, or Calcino VIP. Now, part of my job is also to tell you where this economy is and where the economy is going. Like last year, where I said it was going to be 8% inflation in December, and it wasn't going to go back down. Tonight on Evenings LA in prime time at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, we have a huge show. We also have a brand new Afternoons LA at 3 o'clock. It's a very good show today. We're going to go over a lot of the economic data, but here's an example of where you see data not particularly looking good and potentially signaling a bubble. A new data released today from S&P Case-Shiller says that home prices increased in the month of February 2022 compared to February 2021 at 20%. Now, what's going to happen? Some people are going to look at this data, say, wow, housing went up a lot. Housing's really on fire, went up 20% in the month of February. No, because the number is a delayed number. You know by watching this channel. February was when the mortgage rates were still low. They're 3%. Now they're 5%. So this data released from February now in April was when the economy was doing good. Since then, we've had 4 missed housing starts where housing has been down consecutive months. We've had the mortgage rate surge from 3 to 5% in 3 months. So this is where people are going to look at data and think they're on the good side. They're actually on the poor side. Of course, we had some cities like Miami and Tampa and Florida had the highest, had annual sale prices surge 30%. But that was by then. By then, people who look at the data are going to be misguided because that data does not show the experience since February. Now, here's what you need to know, is that there's a lot of moving parts out there, and Joe Biden has understood the importance of getting items out the door. He did it with SNAP by contacting Department of Agriculture saying, raise that money. He can do it with that COLA, swapping it from a COLA to inflation by calling the Social Security Administrator ahead. But now he's done it with student loan debt forgiveness. This is a big one. The president has now done 6 executive orders in 7 days for student loan debt forgiveness, and he's not done there yet. We went into the weekend on Friday when Jen Psaki, the president's press secretary, said that the president has on the table forgiveness of complete student loan debts, forgiveness as an option. Whoa, let's bring it up to how we got to that point. The president first forgave student loan debts for individuals who became disabled after graduation, then who went to work in the nonprofit sector, the public sector as well. Then the president said if your debts were procured by fraud by the university against you, your debts are 100% forgiven. Then the president said if your debts were in default, I'm putting them back in good standing. The data keeps on coming in with the president now reach out to Miguel Cardona, his education secretary, saying, take the law and use the guidance to modify the guidelines. Modifying the guidelines is not modifying the law. This is just like swapping cola for inflation. And that's what Cardona is now doing. So if you're a student borrower, a former student borrower, take notes. Here we go. James Cavall, who's the undersecretary of Miguel Cardona, says this is where the change is going to happen. We're looking at statutes. We're looking at seeing more student loan debt to qualify for the IDR credit. Write that down, IDR credit. They're trying to get your debt qualified under IDR credit. Then we're trying to use, write this one down, the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program to get those debts forgiven. Then we're also looking, write this one down as well, income-based repayment programs. They're trying to use these existing rules to get more debt forgiven. And if you want to learn more about it, go to the Department of Education's website, pull out those press releases, look at them, because there's a lot of moving parts across the board. Finally, my analysis. What about that sixth stimulus? Macron was reelected in France as its sitting president over the weekend on Sunday. So does that mean sixth stimulus is going to happen? It has to happen. I mean, folks, it really has to happen. Whether it's Italy or the United States, no one can afford this price of gasoline through the month of May, into the month of May. We're there. The price of gasoline has not gone down. No one can afford the price of wheat or bread at these levels into the month of May. We're already there. That's why you have to do deficit spending. That's what Deutsche Bank said about Germany. You have to do deficit spending there and here. Deficit spending involves giving money to the citizens because no one can afford these price levels. What's important for you to understand is that when money's available, you grab it, you pounce, you get the money available. Then, when other money comes available as well, grab it as well. One thing I haven't made clear in the last few days, I want to make clear in this recording, is that when you look at check A, you look at check B, you look at check C and D, they may look very similar, and you may say, wait, I think I qualify for more than one of these. Yeah, you do. You likely qualify for one or more of these items, maybe two of the items. So what I want you to do is get every check you can get. As Johnny gave us that inspiration, he didn't stop on a Wednesday, when getting 3 items at 45,000. He kept on pushing. By the end of the week, he got 80,000 by making 15 phone calls. You need to take the effort. And when you take the effort, you can celebrate the victory lap you're going to get. In my opinion, the U.S. economy is going into recession for 2 years, starting in 2023. Certain industries are in recession tonight, today, this morning, like auto and housing. The proliferation of recession will grow across the board. And what's an issue is that we know certain things, other things we don't know. Right before Halloween of 2021, I said that the major economic story of 2022 will be the invasion of Ukraine. I believe the second major story will be China. China's supply chain disruption right now is very bad. We make products in China and ship them back here. We buy products in China and ship them back to here. What's the situation today is that China is on major lockdown. The subvariant of Omicron. Shanghai, Beijing, all these major towns literally have the supermarkets emptied because people are in line for 3 hours taking every last good off the supermarket shelves because they're being told they're going into lockdown for a long time. That lockdown will spread to Europe because Omicron subvariant is there. We don't know the variant of Omicron. We don't know the variations of what's going to happen with Omicron. We don't know if this will cause major economic disruption here as well. But at the moment, we already have that economic disruption. If you look at the tech stocks today, they're right today at the time of this recording, which is just about 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time, the 26th. They're currently trading the tech stocks today at their levels of July of 2021. Yeah, they're down for the year, and now they're almost down to the levels of July of last year. The stock market went down 900 points last Friday, another 500 points today. Oil continues to go up. The economic data is upside down, and it's hard to say where it's going to land other than my projection of a recession. But what I want you to do is get every check, and there'll be a lot more checks when this economy approaches recession. Because it doesn't matter if there's a Republican or Democrat in control, they all know no one can afford these levels. For now, there's a lot of money. And well, there'll be a lot more money. I'll be back with you at noontime and then at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time today. Then we got a brand new Afternoons LA at 3 o'clock, a brand new Evenings at 5 o'clock. We got a lot of shows, but make sure you get every single check you can get and keep on pushing. I want to hear people telling me you're getting 2 or 3 checks because you deserve it. Go to the top of the chat and become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Become a member right today. Then get that newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. Remember, you need to also subscribe. You need to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. And then there's a little bell at the front of the channel. Hit the bell to make sure notifications are all set to all. Also, watch the videos throughout their entirety because there's so much going on in every video now, a lot more than ever before. I don't want you to miss something or a check or a major economic developing detail later in the video. So make sure you watch to the very end. See you back at noontime. Stay informed, stay focused. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, and the bacon a little bit more expensive. That's no excuse that I still don't have it here. Bacon stimulus, reoccurring monthly bacon stimulus. I could go for that. That would absolutely be delicious. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful day, and stay with LA for more.